Hey y'all, I'm Danielle. Welcome back to Testimony and Transparency, where I share real stories of faith, motherhood, marriage, and entrepreneurship. In today's video, I want to talk with you about discernment and why it's so important for us to be praying for discernment, especially when we are engaging in conversations with other people. Because if we don't have discernment, the conversations can become very unproductive very quickly. I want to share a story with you about a customer that I had. I believe it was back in 2023. One of the things I used to do in my wholesale business was I used to call every single new customer. So if you were a new customer and you placed an order, I gave you a call, I introduced myself, I confirmed your order with you, I answered any questions you had, and it was a really great opportunity for relationship building between me and my customers. Well, I don't do that anymore, but that is something that I did at that time. So I got on the phone with a customer and started talking to her about products. And she was asking me about the formulation of a product. And it started off by she was just wanting some general information so that she can explain it to her customers. And so I was giving her the information and I said, this is how we infuse the oil so that it has this particular ingredient in it. And she was like, okay. And then she went on and started asking some other questions. And so started noticing that the more questions she was asking, the more I felt like, is she writing this down to like make a formula herself? Like, what is going on? And so I answered her next question, and then she continued to proceed to ask me another question about how I formulate. And I just, in the kindest way possible, I said, "Hey, are you trying to get the formula for this product?" And she was like, "No, no." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I was just asking because you keep asking me questions about how to make this particular product." And then the conversation quickly ended after that because she knew that she wasn't going to be able to keep asking me questions and me just be unaware and keep answering them. And so that was a moment to where I was just so thankful for the Lord's discernment because she could have really got a lot more information if one, I didn't catch on to what she was trying to do. And two, the whole time I was talking to her, I was praying for the Lord to get me out of that conversation. And that's something that I have learned to do when I engage with certain people. I pray that the Lord gives me discernment, that He gives me the words to say, that if a conversation goes a certain way, that He would quickly get me out of the conversation. Like, I pray for all of that type of stuff because I've been in those situations and I don't like them. And I'm the type of person where I don't really like confrontation that much. And so that's just something I started praying about. And that's just one of the stories of just being able to use discernment and, be kind, but be truthful. We're not as believers, we're not just supposed to be these people who don't have a voice. Use discernment, be kind, and be in prayer for how the Lord wants you to handle it. The other thing I'll say is discernment helps us prevent being in unproductive conversations. So a lot of times we will try to share the gospel with someone or we'll try to share scripture with them because we want them to hear the truth. And they will fight us back or they'll be like, well, and it'll be in a disrespectful way, right? It'll be in a disrespectful, like nasty tone. Or if you're ever online and you read through people's comments, there are some people who do not have genuine questions or comments. They are just trying to troll to get you riled up. And a lot of times, Christians will fall into these traps because they're trying to prove a point. And that's not our point to prove. And it is one thing if someone does have a genuine question, it's a respectful conversation. It's a whole nother thing when you're being met with the nasty tone, you're being met with disrespectfulness. And ultimately, you're being met with someone who really is not interested in listening to what you have to say. They just want to tell you everything they think and try to be condescending towards your beliefs. And in those situations, we just need to exit gracefully and pray for them because the conversations can become very unproductive and unfruitful when you're trying to just prove a point to someone who doesn't really care. And so in those situations, again, we have to be praying for discernment. And some comments just have to be left alone. Everything doesn't deserve a response. It really doesn't. You're just kind of feeding into that foolishness. So I just wanted to share that message because it's something that's easy to fall into, and we just want to be mindful of that and be praying that the Lord gives us wisdom and discernment for when we interact with others. So, hope this was helpful. Hope this encouraged someone and blessed someone. If you found this video valuable, please like. If you're new here, please subscribe. And I will see you on the next video. I love y'all.